Only a 12th level intellect has the slightest hope of surviving what you are about to experience.
Warner Brothers is making Suicide Squad 2, Gotham City Sirens, and a Joker and Harley movie, which all seems pretty redundant.
So you're telling me they're making Joker and Harley 2, and Joker and Harley
except
3.
it's
all
Rise
of the Jokers stuff and Harleys. Rise of the Machines.
Dawn of the Rise of the Planet of the Jokers and Harleys.
We'll just have a funny joke with Arnold Schwarzenegger putting kooky little sunglasses on. He's like, he's a big muscular man. Why would he wear those tiny kooky sunglasses? What a funny joke. I laughed when I saw that. Yeah. Hi, everybody. Welcome to 12th Level Intellects again. This is a podcast that you're listening to, hosted by the Watchtower Database, the DC show with the AU flow. Did you like that? I added that little tagline. And eventually it'll just devolve into the Dick show with the OW flow. I think that'll be a really nice thing that you'll enjoy listening to. Decal. Portlandia reference? I don't know. Anyway, you can say more things now. You can do the next thing. I don't want to do this.
Thanks for introducing me, James Strucker.
You're welcome.
As per usual, I'm Mr. Ted Kendrick.
I don't know.
Yeah,
That's
so this show, just to reiterate, it's about DC Comics' emphasis on DC animation, specifically the DCAU, which ran from 1992 to 2006 with such shows like Batman the Animated Series, Batman Beyond, Justice League, all that stuff. You know what? If you're
even
here,
though our show today
about.
Is not, our show today, even though the topic is not about an animated thing at all, but
not yet.
Emphasis okay, we'll end up talking about some stuff maybe in the news that I don't reveal to you yet. Which I'm just gonna start talking about news things because that's what happens now. We were afraid that we got the same two news stories. So let's say on 3 I'll count backwards from 3, and on 0 I'll say the name of my news thing and you can say yours, and I want to see if they're the same thing.
Well, but we both have 2 news topics, right?
Yeah, but I want. I'm just trying to do a fun little game thing. You're ruining it.
Okay. We'll just say both of them at the same time. We'll do both of them at the same time. Go for it.
Okay,
go for it.
3, 2, 1. Batman on
Blu-ray. Batman on Catwoman. I couldn't say
Yeah, we got the same thing.
It's a surprise. It's a surprise. Yeah, I think so.
Next year, Batman Animated Series is coming out on Blu-ray, announced at the New York Comic Con recently. They don't have like a date for it yet, but it's at the end of the year. Is that one of your news things?
No, it's not actually.
Oh, wow.
But I want it. I gotta get a Blu-ray player. Or a PlayStation or something.
I've had a Blu-ray player since like they barely had come out because my grandma got me one for Christmas, and that first one that we have is still in our house, but we never use it because it'll just turn on and off by itself, and it'll like stop playing the disc in the middle of whatever you're watching. Like they didn't even understand the technology enough that they had just invented that they released a Blu-ray player regardless. So,
well,
it's not good. I guess I'll get this because it's Batman.
Do you know?
It's Batman the Animated Series, but why would I not get it? But I also is this a show worth seeing? Well, okay, that's a bad way to put it. The era that it was made in, like the animation companies and animation. What the heck?
Studios?
Styles? No. Techniques. There we go. Do they translate to being more crisp and whatever in Blu-ray than they are on DVD? Because I'm just gonna watch it. Probably it'll look exactly the same. I don't know. Maybe I don't know enough about those kinds of things.
Yeah, I'm not sure, but that's exciting though. It's a complete series, right? Through the new Batman Adventures also?
I don't think that they haven't said what all's on it yet. They just said it's happening. But we can just probably assume it's going to be all 4 volumes of the previous thing, yeah. Cool. I find it interesting that on this has nothing to do with the release itself, but on the article I'm looking at on Nerdist about this, the images, they have a bunch of GIFs throughout the page of the intro to Batman, and they're using GIFs from a YouTube video of a guy that redid the intro. Like he traced everything so that it would be in HD. So they're showing his animations, like technically. It's just a recreation of the intro, but it's just funny that like that's when you search on YouTube for Batman animated series intro, that's probably one that'll come up, and it's not even the actual intro, it's just some guy's remake of it.
Oh wow.
So go him, I guess.
Yeah, hey. That's awesome. Well, that'd be one
What's
to
your
add to the
first thing?
collection. Well,
Yeah.
I was going to talk about
Yes.
how this week, in the Hollywood realm, there was this big bombshell of Harvey Weinstein all over the news. He did some horrible things, and he's being called out on it. But throughout this whole scandal, Ben Affleck's started to be kind of dragged down into it too, because of his association with the Weinstein Company, and it's like it's a little scary because it could have some effects on Justice League's release next month. So
yeah, it's like all the like Trump videos that would come out, when people were trying to put him down throughout the campaign, like, oh, remember when he said this stupid thing in a blooper and all this stuff. Like, that reminds me of that, where like maybe this footage has either never been seen before or hasn't. It looked like one of them was from a TV show, though. The one you showed me with the like French Canadian hostess. I can't remember what that was. Where she's
it was
tickling her endlessly and
right, Hillary Burton. Yeah, it was,
okay.
She was a host of TRL.
It looked like that was from a show where she was introducing it on the show, like an MTV style, like, check out this crazy thing that happened to me. Like, it obviously has been seen before by a few people, whoever was watching that show. But
right.
Everyone
it's
forgot.
existed for years. Yeah, but then dirt always gets dragged up. It's kind of like the whole thing is saying that, like, Ben Affleck was probably wrapped up in it all too, probably excusing a lot of the behavior that Harvey Weinstein did. But it's really tough because, that guy gave him the start of his career. He did Good Will Hunting. That got Ben Affleck on the map. And Kevin Smith just yesterday came out about it too, because he had Clerks produced by the Weinstein Company, his very first movie. And the Weinstein Company was huge in propelling Kevin Smith to where he is. So Kevin has announced that he is giving all of his residuals to Women in Film. It's a nonprofit organization.
Oh, wow.
So any residuals he gets from the Weinstein Company goes straight to them now. And if everybody did that who worked on a Weinstein movie, then that would change the industry. That's amazing. Yeah. But
it's been it's weird timing for, like you said, for this stuff to happen with right before the Justice League movie. Like, I hope that okay. I hope that it doesn't make Ben Affleck look bad for the movie, but that sounds like I'm like defending what he's done.
he looks bad. He probably did some stuff to deserve it too.
I do want him as a person to look bad. I don't want Batman to look. How about that?
Yeah. Yeah.
But I've never been a Ben Affleck Batman hater, like, for the character.
Sure.
But him as a person, maybe, I don't know.
Yeah, exactly. It seems like they're kind of giving themselves an out too, with the Flashpoint movie that's coming out in a few years. That's the perfect opportunity to recast Affleck if they wanted, if they wanted to get rid of him.
That's such a weird thing to do, like to announce that project is already in motion before the Justice League movie has even come out. Like, if you knew the Flashpoint story, or you even understood as much as Flash changes time or whatever, you would just know already that, like, you'd have all these assumptions in your head that why would they, if they're going to do the movie the exact same way, why do it before you've even introduced us to any of these characters?
Yeah. Well, even in the comic, the original Flashpoint comic, they used as kind of a platform to introduce other characters that ended up coming into New 52, such as Element Woman. She was a big deal. She ended up joining the Justice League. The Outsider ended up being a villain during Trinity War. Stuff like that. Characters were reintroduced in Flashpoint that became a bigger deal in New 52. So they could totally do that in the movie, where they introduce all these, lower characters, like Etrigan, although he'll probably be in Justice League Dark, and like I don't know, the Canterbury Cricket was a really weird side character.
Yeah.
I don't even know if he was in the animated movie, but stuff like that. Like Grifter,
Well,
Yeah.
You've seen the most recent season of The Flash. Not this one that's happening, but the
Season 3?
Savitar one. There's that Flashpoint thing they do at the start of that isn't like, it's like Flashpoint light, Flashpoint no calories.
Yeah.
There's he like barely changes anything. Like there's like two major things. I think it's like Diggle's kid's a boy now, and Cisco's brother's dead, or like those are the two things that change. And then they spend the whole season going like, "You messed with our lives so much. Our lives are forever changed. What have you done?" Like that. No, he didn't really do that much, but but if they, so not that what I'm getting at is I don't necessarily like that version of Flashpoint.
Yeah.
But if they did something like that in the movie thing, I would feel better about it than an entire like universe changing event when they've barely have a universe to do that with.
Exactly. Yeah, but it's a really good platform for them to make any recasting decisions that they want. If they want to get rid of Ben Affleck, that's the perfect time to do it. So that's all I'm saying.
Well, isn't it? Aren't we coming? I mean, this is slightly dipping into our main topic for the day, but aren't we kind of finding out that Flashpoint was not
entirely Barry Allen's fault?
Someone else. Yeah.
Well, let's put a pin on that. We'll get back to that in a second. Let's finish the news, though. I'll go for
say, even in that, Batman doesn't change to be a different like human. Like he's just 10 years younger or whatever, so it's that would still be weird to have it just be like, why don't you look like Ben Affleck anymore? So I guess in the movie wise, you could just cast anybody in the same kind of George Clooney, Val Kilmer stuff.
all you need is the chin, That's you just need a good chin for Batman. What's your second news item?
I was going to talk about the Constantine animated series. We got a trailer for that from Comic-Con.
It's like more really of the first 3 or 4 minutes of it.
It's just a couple minutes out of the first episode, I think. It's kind of, I feel like it's kind of cut like the trailers, or like the when you see a trailer that says like the first 6 minutes of da-da-da, and they like do really fast-paced cuts of all the establishing shots and stuff so that they can get to the meat of it. So I feel like that's what this is, where it's not exactly what you'll see in the cartoon, but it's pretty close.
But
it's cool.
I liked it a lot. I thought it was awesome.
Yeah. It's cool to have another animated series after the Vixen stuff. I've still not watched Vixen season 2. I don't know how much I'm missing, but
Yeah, I haven't either, but...
it
seems like this. It's got Matt Ryan back as Constantine, the guy who played him in the NBC series, and it also seems like it's gonna be firmly rooted in the CW world. It's part of CW Seed, and from what I understand, Constantine is already booked for a guest appearance in Legends of Tomorrow this season.
Yep, that too. He's like, didn't the series get canceled because no one was watching it? Like there was like one season of it.
I'm a season
behind.
Watch it. I didn't watch it. I want to though. I want to watch it.
Yeah,
I gotta binge watch it on Netflix.
Because I think this is a continuation of that, essentially. Like maybe not literally, like it would pick up storylines or anything. I mean, but technically, since it's in the same universe.
My understanding is they broke time at the end of the last season, so now it's like dinosaurs in New York, stuff like that.
No, I'm talking about Constantine.
Yeah, it's probably a continuation of its show.
I was like, Constantine broke time and there's dinosaurs? How did he do that?
I think the Constantine show it stood on its own pretty well. Like it doesn't really contradict anything in the CW world. The only like larger DC connection it has is the House of Mystery, and inside that is Dr. Fate's helmet, which you see in the background a few times, and we haven't had any Dr. Fate stuff happen in.
Yeah, I've thought about that. Like, I wonder if they do stuff where they don't pursue it because that show didn't do well or whatever. Like, I swear there was something in Legends the first season that was like they kept doing all this social media stuff with the first season of that where like it would just be a really, really dark, like barely lit.
I remember that.
Prop of some kind. You're supposed to be like, oh, it's so and so's bucket helmet from the comic I've never read. And then
yeah, you're
that just
thinking of
is-
Red Tornado. Yeah.
Yeah, and half of that stuff you're like, oh sweet, they'll make an appearance, they'll go to a time period that has that character, but then most of it's just in Rip Hunter's like office on a shelf. Like, okay, thanks. You can see the thing, but sorry.
True. Yeah. Well, the Constantine show seems like it's gonna be pretty good. It looks a lot like similar tone to the show, to the movie.
Yeah, hasn't it been the same guy as the Young Justice character designs doing these CW series? I wish I remembered his name, but
is it Phil Barossa? Is that right? Phil Barossa?
Yeah, that sounds right. Right.
Or Christopher Jones. It's one of those guys.
Yeah, his style has grown on me. He also does the new 52-ish animated movies. I feel like they look pretty similar anyway.
Cool.
Yeah, at first I didn't like his art style because I was like, I like Bruce Timm's art style and that's it, and everything else looks stupid, and Young Justice doesn't look that good, and then never mind, I'm an idiot.
Yeah. Yeah, no, it looks great. I like what they're doing on Young Justice for sure. Well, I'll go over my piece of news, my second one.
Okay. That sounds like
right.
a good idea, Mr.
Yeah. So Batman, in issue number 24 of his Rebirth series, proposed to Catwoman. And it took until issue number 32 for her to give an answer. And apparently the answer is yes. They're getting married, Batman and Catwoman. It's not the first time that's happened in comics. Historically, they were married on Earth 2 before the original Crisis. And
Right.
Batman and Catwoman ended up having a daughter, Helena Wayne, who was the original Huntress. Yeah, so it seems like that's happening here in Earth Zero or New Earth or whatever it's called these days. And maybe we'll get a little Helena Wayne. Maybe Damian gets a sister. I don't know, but we'll see.
Yeah, that'd be interesting.
I
mean, they've
actually
done
haven't
whatever
read.
they want so far.
Yeah, I haven't read issue number 32. I read 24. So I
Oh.
saw the proposal. I haven't seen the answer, but
I know because the internet has told me, but I've only I've only read the actual proposal one. It's kind of a weird thing to me because me being the cartoon guy, I like what they do on the animated series with Batman and Catwoman. It's very playful and just nothing ever happens.
she's a
So it's
criminal.
kind of like,
He's got to take her in.
it's kind of weird it feels like when a sitcom like sort of jumps the shark or whatever, where they like, oh, the two characters that have been pining over each other the whole show, they're finally getting married, and like, but then everything sucks after that because there's no more like relationship tension in it and stuff.
Yeah,
Like that kind of feels like what it'll be with this, but I don't know. I'm not a aficionado such as yourself with the older stuff, so I don't know exactly if like you ever see them together.
Yeah, DC's always been really weird with marriage. You know, comic book companies in general. Like when Spider-Man and Mary Jane got married,
Right.
that was kind of the end of Spider-Man. DC, like, they even had a thing a few years ago. Dan DiDio said that Batwoman, Kate Kane, was never going to get married to Maggie Sawyer, her girlfriend in the comics. It was very much like, we're putting our foot down. She's not getting married. It was like an editorial thing that he made happen. Just because he was like, characters don't get married.
Yeah, I guess it's just it's like a change of status in any way, to where like you can't just pick up the comic and like, what, they're married, what's going on? Like, instead you're always in that same like world. But then at the same time,
And
they do
that's-
stuff all the time that just changes the entire universe. So I don't know.
Well, that's what happened in Flashpoint, right? So Flashpoint took away Superman Lois Lane's marriage, but then Rebirth has brought it back. So it's very cyclical sort of thing.
But then there's also like that same thing bothers me with like the current Flash comic. He and Iris are not married, but they used to be, and that kind of thing. And since I haven't read much older stuff than the last couple of years, I just constantly am going like, wait, what part are they at, and what am I supposed to know, and what don't I know yet, and all this stuff. So.
Yeah. Do you know in the 1980s there was a huge like the Flash story arc got like he and Iris got married in the future, and then like Reverse Flash ended up ruining the whole thing to the point where Flash snaps his neck and Barry Allen goes on trial, and there's a whole story arc called The Trial of the Flash that deals with that. So Yeah, right before Crisis on Infinite Earths, he was kind of dealing with that stuff.
I learn things all the time from you. I like it.
You're welcome.
I need to read like 10,000 more things than I've read ever, but the list keeps growing.
All you gotta do is read one thing. It's called Wikipedia.
That's true. That's kind of a disservice in a way.
That's true. No, go read the original issues. I'll go.
Why
read
would
the
you even
original
watch
issues.
Batman the Animated Series on Blu-ray? Just read the DC
read the
Wiki.
Wikipedia. Yeah. Go on World's Finest Online. That's a little bit.
Just read the Watchtower Database in the future.
Yeah.
When it exists. Duh.
Yeah. Well, talk about our main topic today.
Yes. If you come here hoping for us to talk about something DCAU, we will eventually. There's not always a lot of very specific DCAU stuff going on. Like when Batman and Harley Quinn was coming out and happening, that was just everywhere. We try to talk about it in the news, but sometimes the main topic is going to be something that is not about a cartoon, but it's still DC Comics. So yeah, you want to you know more comic things. You should.
Yeah. So Doomsday Clock, which is literally DC, right? Doomsday Clock. That's hey. So
I actually didn't even notice that. I wasn't being a sarcastic.
No, I think that's a big thing. I think it's really like the series is gonna go into. This is gonna sound really meta, but like the roots of DC Comics. Mm-hmm. Like I think it's gonna rewrite what that means, what character Superman means to the universe, and get really meta.
Talk about what this is at all.
Yeah, so it's a follow-up to Watchmen. First of all, the follow-up to Watchmen, written by Jeff Johns, drawn by Gary Frank. Jeff Johns is, he's huge in DC. He's president. He's CCO. President of DC Films now. So he's been there behind the scenes guiding Wonder Woman, Justice League, the future of the film franchise. But he's also historically been a writer in the comics. He did Flashpoint, Blackest Night. He did a huge run on Green Lantern and The Flash.
If you've heard of a thing, he probably wrote it.
Teen Titans, JSA. He's written so much great stuff. He and Gary Frank have done a little bit of Superman together before. They did the Superman Brainiac story that was adapted to an animated series. They did Batman Earth 1, the original graphic novel book. Anyway, he's done a lot of stuff.
Is that Superman Unbound, the movie?
It was that movie. Yeah, it's based off a Jeff Johns, Gary Frank book.
You're talking about Superman Brainiac Attacks, right? That's the
Yeah. Not today. But no, so Doomsday Clock is a follow-up to Watchmen. It's set 7 years after the original events of Watchmen, the year 1992, which coincidentally is the same year as the Death of Superman comic was published, which was a huge deal back in the day. And
hey, cat, shut up!
You hear the cat? I was wondering if you heard the cat. But anyway,
we all hear the cat down here.
You all hear the cat. So there's been a 6-page Ashcan issue that's been released. It was released at New York Comic Con, and it has the first 6 pages of Doomsday Clock, and it features like a mob rushing up to the Veidt building, right? And it looks like they're going after Adrian Veidt because the whole world knows that he staged the end of Watchmen. Like in the book, it was a giant squid monster. In the movie, it's Dr. Manhattan.
Yeah, I was gonna say I need to reread the actual thing because someone recently mentioned the like big squid that he put downtown, and I was like, what are you talking about? I guess that's how it actually happened.
Right. But either way, it's like blaming this extra thing, to unite the world. And now that the secret is out that Veidt was manipulating events, the world wants to hang him, So and it looks like there's a new Rorschach. Someone got a hold of Rorschach's journal. Maybe it's the original Rorschach. Maybe it's new.
I forgot that he exexploded, so when I read that, I was like, oh, yeah, cool, Rorschach.
Oh, yeah, there was blood on the snow and everything. He's dead. I think it's Vic Sage.
It's comics.
I'm waiting for it to be Vic Sage and be revealed to be the question. Because he's
also dead.
Yeah, he's been in the New 52 very little, and it was always very cryptic about who he was. He was a little bit more mystical, like up there with the Phantom Stranger. So this could bring him back to his roots, make him a little more gritty.
How did he die? Did he explode into the snow as well?
The question?
Yeah.
No, so he was part of the whole Trinity of Sin during the Trinity War. It was the Question, Pandora, and Phantom Stranger were the Trinity of Sin, and they were all wrapped up in that stuff. So like the beginning of time.
So he's not dead.
I don't think so. But he hasn't been a Rebirth.
I thought there was a thing where Renee Montoya becomes the Question.
That was before Flashpoint, so that was the older continuity. Yeah, he died in 52. Yeah.
It was before the
It's
crisis
confusing.
of Infinite Crises.
Yeah.
The crises.
But,
Sorry, haven't you read Two Crisis, Too Furious?
I have. Yeah. Dawn of the Planet Crisis of the. That's the second time I made the joke.
You mean
but it's a good joke.
Dom of the Crisis, because it's Fast and Furious. Okay.
Anyway,
I'm done with this joke.
Yeah. All right. So, I should say the last thing Jeff Johns wrote was Darkseid War for Justice League.
Okay.
Right before. Actually, no. The last thing he wrote was Rebirth, which,
Yes.
sets the stage for Doomsday Clock. But before that was Darkseid War, and there's a lot of stuff he introduced at the end of that book that I think is going to set up Doomsday Clock, such as the revelation that there
Darkseid
are...
War also starts with D. Never mind.
DW.
Hey, DW.
Yeah,
Hey,
so
what?
it says that we have 3 Jokers. There are 3 Jokers
Right, yeah.
existing in the world now, and that's
Haven't we
something
found out that's not actually 3 Jokers? Or no.
there
Sorry,
are.
I was mixing that up there. I was thinking of how it was a slight like twist of the knife to be like to have Batman sit on the Mobius chair. Who's the Joker? Or what's the Joker's real name? And then he goes, "Oh no, it can't be."
That's
and
impossible.
then you find out later. Yeah, and then you find out later.
That's impossible.
Yeah,
You're not my father.
Hamill. It tells him Mark Hamill. That would be kind of cool, but yeah, that's what he says. But then when you find out it didn't tell him a name. It just told him there's which one.
Mm-hmm.
Which one do you mean? And then he went what? Which is, I guess, cool. Like, maybe that was the idea the whole time. But I have a feeling it was supposed to be a name, and then they just pussied out.
From the hints, who knows? I like the fact that there are 3 Jokers. It makes it a lot more interesting.
Yeah.
And it seems like the 3 that we're dealing with is the Bronze Age one, so kind of like classic Joker, pre-Crisis. And then we've got the Killing Joke version. And then the most recent one, who was featured in Endgame and Dark Knight's Metal, that Joker is the last one.
Right. So since I haven't read DC Comics' classic "The Joker Cuts His Face Off," the comic book, I don't know
that's
why.
our modern Joker. He gets his
I
face
don't know
back.
why he's stuck in the Batcave in a place.
That's
Explain
that
this
happened
to
at the end of the Endgame arc that Scott
Okay.
Snyder wrote. Batman and Joker have this huge showdown in the Batcave, and it's like both of them think that they know who the other really is, but it's still kind of ambiguous. But then Joker falls to his death in the pits of the Batcave. So that's the last time we see him before we see him in Metal.
And then so Batman just took him.
Yeah, he must have found him,
Kept
and
him.
yeah, I guess so.
Okay.
Yep, it's a little more complicated than that. There's a chemical in the Joker's spine that makes him slightly immortal and helps him heal. It healed his face when his face got chopped off, and
I'm shaking my head.
yeah, it's you just gotta read it.
It's not that I dislike those kind of story elements. Like if I am reading everything, then I'm like, oh, cool. But if I miss one issue of one thing,
Yeah,
it's just
I know.
Why is
Or
there
it's like
adamantium
reading-
in the Joker's brain? I don't know.
Yeah, it's actually vibranium. Yeah. If we're doing
we
a
made
Marvel
this joke last
crossover.
time.
Oh, did we? Oh, come on. We're getting lazy. All right. Well, anyway, so another thing that could tie it to the Joker is the comedian's button. The Batman found the comedian's button.
butt?
Button.
Oh, button.
Yeah, it was
button.
his butt. It fell
Why
out.
is his butts tied together?
It was when Wally
right.
West appeared in Rebirth in the Batcave. He opened up a Speed Force warp hole or
Right.
something, and when he came out, the comedian button also was lodged into the Batcave wall. And I think there's got to be some connection between comedian and Joker. They're both clowns, right? There's got to be something there. That can't be accidental.
One's a murderer, the other's a rapist, and I'll let you figure out which is which.
Right. Yeah.
They do a
Both.
Killing
They're
Joke
both.
cover with the comedian taking a picture
Right.
with the first what's her name?
Silk Spectre.
Silk
Spectre.
Yeah. This is dark.
Yeah.
Let's get off this topic. Oh my God, James,
Blah.
why did you do
All
this
right.
to us? Anyway,
Yeah.
yeah. So Doomsday Clock, I understand that it will end up being some kind of showdown between Dr. Manhattan and Superman, and I really hope that it's not just. And then Superman punched him really hard, and he fell down. And because it's got to be something more than that. Like when they say that it's not going to be, when they say it's going to be a fight between them, I just really hope it doesn't, become a just.
Yeah.
And then they stared at each other on the opposite side of the thing, and then they ran at each other.
It makes me think a lot of the original Watchmen, the line where they're talking about the like Nietzschean sort of concept of the Superman, you know, and how they say Dr. Manhattan, the Superman is here and he's American,
Right.
you know, or something like that. And so like Dr. Manhattan is very much a Superman sort of counterpart in the Watchmen world. And we've seen
Plus, he can blow
other
people
comics.
up with his brain.
Yeah, that's something Superman can't do yet.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, we've seen Grant Morrison do stuff with like Multiversity and the Superman Beyond stuff from Final Crisis, where you see these other Supermen from parallel worlds. Earth 4, which is kind of the Watchmen analog world. It's basically Dr. Manhattan is their Superman. It's Captain Atom,
Right.
but he looks just like Dr. Manhattan. So
Yeah.
he's very much the Superman of his universe. So I think that is no mistake that they're gonna fight each other.
Yeah.
For like the soul of the DC universe.
I just like all the ideas of like they kind of snowball out of the whole like, okay, so if Dr. Manhattan has messed with this universe to some degree, like why did he do it? Was he just bored and that kind of thing? And then it becomes like, is he the big old hand that what's his name? Green Lantern guy
sure.
looked at the beginning of
Krona.
time. Yeah, Krona sees a big old blue hand. Maybe that's Dr. Manhattan's hand because it's that's also on the cover of Rebirth special where they're like reaching for his hand.
It's very much like the what is it? Son of Man? Is that no? It's the God and Adam. Yeah, the painting touching each other. Yeah. It's a lot like that.
And there's a lot of other things that just little things that are like, oh, did he do this? Did he do that? Is he this thing? And so I hope that there's more to it. Like I hope that there's like answers and it's not just this lost kind of like the man in black and the smoke monster and goodbye.
Hopefully not. But we've seen a lot in Rebirth already of talk about relationships, and a lot of the time that was lost that Dr. Manhattan took away, the 2 years affected a lot of the relationships, like Black Canary and Green Arrow never falling in love, Batman and like all the different Robins he's trained, that's been reorganized a little bit. And like Superman, Lois Lane's marriage, that was come back together. So a lot of talk of relationships.
Dr. Manhattan is Jeff Johns, I think. Is what they're trying.
Might
just
be a little
all
too
these
meta. No. But what I think is really interesting from the recent Budden crossover, which came out earlier last year. It had Thomas Wayne's Batman from Flashpoint crossing over, and there was this whole page. I think it was in the 3rd issue, the 3rd part of that story, where Thomas is talking to Bruce, and he's like, it all leads to you. Like none of this would have, like it's all about you. Like we're all doing this to make sure you are here, and it's very similar to the way Dr. Manhattan talked to Laurie about how the comedian, raped her mother, and it all led to her creation. And I think there's very much parallel there between Dr. Manhattan and like his, I think that's like what it all comes down to, is it's like all this stuff, it's because of this one little thing. It made this one little thing. So
they also talk about how like the Flashpoint universe, maybe it wasn't just a timeline thing. It was like it's its own world that's still going and has still been happening in the meantime or whatever, which sort of contradicts their like 52 worlds thing or whatever, but it also contradicts it. Like everything contradicts itself every couple of years, and they just say like cosmic things we don't understand. Hope that's fine with you, which is like kind of a cop out, but also makes sense because we really don't know much about anything space related or time related. We're just bunch of meat sacks walking around.
I do love the multiverse map that Grant Morrison made for Multiversity a few years ago, and it definitely clarifies a lot of that sort of cosmic stuff about the DC universe.
They're looking at that in Metal number 1.
Yeah,
Black Hawk
yeah.
Island. Yeah.
I thought that was awesome.
Yeah. It's just a copy paste of that.
Is this a good segue into our next segment, Comic Relief?
Yeah,
because we're gonna talk about Metal. We're gonna talk about Metal number 3.
Yeah, well, we were just gonna do. What do we hope it's gonna be good? Doomsday Clock.
Oh, Doomsday Clock. Yeah, dude, it's gonna be amazing. It's Jeff Johns and Gary Frank. You can't get better than that.
Yeah,
I'm so excited.
I'm only hesitant because of all the stuff that I'm being pessimistic about it, but I just hope it's just not Superman punching Dr. Manhattan.
No, not at all, man. There's so many other
one punch and I'm out.
No. Yeah, so it's gonna be a 12-issue series, no tie-ins at all, and I think that's pretty amazing. So it's at least for my wallet.
Yeah, yeah, no, Nightwing number 3000, because he mentions there's a monster in Monster Men or something. You know, I don't care.
So Metal number 3, it's
Comic Relief.
Metal number
time.
3, Comic Relief, where we talk about comics,
That's the
like
segment.
we've been doing the whole show.
Comic Relief. It's a relief from the comics we were already talking about.
So we both read Dark Knight's Metal number 3.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes. I was going to say
Written
after
by
this,
Scott Snyder.
we could briefly talk about. Oh no, I'm sorry. You do one and then I do one. Isn't that the thing that we're doing?
Oh yeah. I'll let you handle Metal.
Then just no. You do it. Because I have a different one.
Okay. Cool. Yeah, so Metal number 3. Metal number 3 was written by Scott Snyder. It was drawn by Greg Capullo, the classic team who's been doing Batman from the New 52. They did Court of Owls. They did Death of the Family. All those books.
The other ones that you've heard of, yeah.
Yeah. And so Metal number 3 is the third chapter of this crazy story where Batman has brought the wrath of the dark multiverse to the world. Basically, this demon entity called Barbados, has come into...
It's a Pirates of the Caribbean thing, isn't it?
Barbados?
Is it the island
Maybe.
that they go to? I don't know. Someone's
There's
yelling at
Barbarossa.
Yes.
Is it?
No. Well, that's
Isn't
the
that
captain.
Yeah, that's the captain. That's
Isn't
different.
it?
I don't know.
Keep going.
It could be it could be Barbados because he's a bat demon.
Oh my god.
Who knows? But anyway, so it's all this Justice League of bat demons from this nightmare universe. It's led by the Batman Who Laughs, who's a Joker version of Batman. There's a Green Lantern version, a Flash version, Doomsday version, and they're all just wrecking havoc on the DCU. It's funny you brought up the Nightwing tie-in because there's been a Nightwing tie-in in this, and in Metal number 3, there's like a little caption that says, "If you want to see how Jon Snow Nightwing came about, read this book," because he's like decked out in this like fur coat. Yeah, do you remember that he's like wearing this metal like fur coat? It's like, how did Jon Snow Nightwing happen? Like, read this book.
Now his watch has ended. Yes, Barbados was an island in the Lesser Antilles, one of the many British colonies in the Caribbean. I'm pretty sure they go there, and that's where they fight in the end with the pot of gold. Okay, anyway,
Sure.
I had to figure that out.
That might be spoilers for the end of Metal.
So Barbados, because he's also bad. That's he. When at the end of number 2, when they accidentally release him, or I guess not accidentally, but when it happens, when all the owl guys come in and they're tying Batman down with shadow thief things, tentacles, and then he opens the portal. You don't get to see Barbados like in that. You just are hearing him talk, and he's like turning Superman and Wonder Woman into like zombies and stuff, or like ripping them of their life or whatever. I was like, oh my god, like this seems so horrific, and like this guy must be the most horrible looking thing I've ever seen. And then you just see him, and this time he's just a big Batman, like essentially.
But
he's
like
spiky. He's a big spiky Batman. Like, just do a different thing.
And he's got like his muscles like kind of hanging out, like entrails,
but like
whatnot. But
I don't know. I just wish that it was a better design.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Just
I'm
an
sure that
ancient
someone
bat
really
monster.
talented and someone really famous and good and drew him. But
Greg
why can't I
Capullo?
find this? Yeah, that. Why can't I find Barbados? Is it spelled differently? Barbados DC metal. I'm trying to pull up a picture of him.
It's Barbatos.
Oh, it does have a T
in spelling. Yeah, there's a T.
Oh, then maybe it is Barbados. I guess it'd be kind of funny. I can't find a good picture of him, but yeah, I mean, like,
actually, I think I read that it was pronounced Barbatos. I'm not even kidding. I think the emphasis is on the first syllable. I know it kind of does.
Let's have some Barbatos. I'll grill up the steaks. You get the Barbatos going.
The Barbatos.
I guess.
With some shaving cream on top. Barbatos.
Yeah, Barbatos. So yeah, he's a big hooded, spiky Batman with like wing. I mean, he's cool. He's pretty cool looking, but it just looks like Skeletor with pointy bat ears, kind of.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, so what I thought was really cool about this issue, I had some really cool moments here. The main chunk of this issue is Superman trying to find Batman. He wants to rescue him. Batman's been dragged into the dark multiverse, and he kind of goes in there without knowing where to find him, just the hopes that he's there. Because Superman's been put into this dream state where Barbatos has been kind of feeding him these nightmares. I don't know what to call him.
Barbie. We'll just call him Barbie for the rest of the
Barbie. All right. So yeah, Superman's got all these nightmares going on, and he finally wakes up, and he's with the Justice League and some other heroes in the Oblivion Bar, which I loved seeing the Oblivion Bar with Detective Chimp and Nightmaster, Jim Rook Nightmaster. He's the guy who owns the bar. Those characters are from the Shadow Pact series that was published shortly after 52. Like in 2006 or something like that. And I actually met the writer Bill Willingham at a con a few years ago, and I came up to him and told him, like, I love Shadow Pact. It's one of my favorite books. He's like, you're like the only one then. That's what he told me. Yeah, he's like, you're the only one who read it then. So I don't know, but I loved it. It was really fun to see those characters back there. And that's like another weird dimension. It's like a bar that exists in no like real plane of reality. Right. So it was cool to see him bring that back. But yeah, then like one of Superman's dreams that was really cool features like them hanging out on the Kent farm. It's like Clark, Bruce, and Diana, and they're watching Jonathan Kent and Damian Wayne play like a little rock show on a stage. And what's really cool is the music they're playing on the stage is like the na 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 Batman. They're playing that song. So that was really fun. But it's also like it ended up being a cosmic warning. Like the na na na, like that music has like some sort of message. And that's the thing like DC's done all over like past stories is they've introduced music as a form of interconnection, like communication between parallel worlds. Like the Flash travels to different worlds by vibrating at different speeds, and these tones, kind of connect to different realms of the multiverse. So there's like this whole another level of cosmic like language going on to this stuff. And so Superman interprets it.
That happens in Battlestar Galactica, kind of. Also,
nice.
Just gonna throw that out there.
Grant Morrison did a big thing about it in Final Crisis and a little bit in Multiversity. He's kind of the main guy who I think is spearheading this like music as a connection of in the DC universe anyway. But so Superman interpreted it as a like call for help from Bruce, but when he gets there, it's actually like, no, I told you to stay away. You like read the message wrong.
I was saying, didn't you hear me? I was saying, no.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. No, I thought that was really cool.
That's the jokes, you guys.
That's the jokes. No.
No, Batman.
Don't do it.
That's what they were trying to tell us. Should I watch this show? No.
But yeah, that's mail number 3. I really like that issue. Yeah, it was one of my favorites so far.
Yeah, I mean, I've had a picture of Barbie up here the whole time, looking at it, and I think it's growing on me the more I stare at it. Like, because it's a good mix of like a weird, creepy skeletal design with like a traditional kind of comic booky, purposely over the top thing. Like in the 90s when everybody had like big pouches. Just everyone had pouches on their costume, like Deadpool and Cable and all the Robins and Batman. Just everybody has giant pockets. It's like you go through phases like that. This looks kind of like a Spawn era. Like he's got a hood on, but no like cape. Like why does he have a hood? Just like the hoods look creepy. Just do that.
Yeah, and he's been around in a couple of other comics. Barbados Barbie, from like originally Dark Knight Dark City was a book by Peter Milligan in the 80s that introduced him, and he's still a very similar like large bat creature. No, he's in there. He's he's on the cover of Batman number 454, I believe. So like that's Barbados. It's like got the Riddler Batman. It's drawn by Mike Mignola. It's a beautiful cover.
It's a big old creepy thing in the background. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And then he's also a part of the Batman: The Return of Bruce Wayne that Grant Morrison wrote a few years ago. It was like the fallout of Batman R.I.P. and Final Crisis. Batman's Lost Through Time.
So is this like dark multiverse or whatever that he's from? It's supposed to be like there's another 52 worlds, but they're all evil or something.
Yeah, okay, and they're all like unstable, and
So then, if this Barbie character was in this earlier Batman stuff, does that mean that it's the same one, or
I would think so?
Also been retconned or whatever.
No, I think he's just like this shadow god that exists beyond this realm, which is something Grant Morrison's played with for a while. Like even in like his Aztec book, like it was all about fighting the shadow god.
Right.
Mageddon in JLA. Is probably really similar. Like Return of the Bruce Wayne was actually Barbie though. Like was this entity that latched itself onto Bruce Wayne. And that's
imagining a blonde
Barbie doll.
Batman, I have come for. If that was just revealed to be what he looks like after he comes out of the portal.
Yeah.
In the dark multiverse, this is scary. Ooh.
Yeah, I forget exactly what he's called, but he actually looks pretty badass when he appears back in the modern day in Return of Bruce Wayne. That is a series that actually is like played into metal a lot. Like there's a lot of stuff from this that is affecting metal. Mm-hmm. Like particularly issue 1 where Batman's in like ancient like prehistoric times. He runs into Vandal Savage, so it's a lot of that like clan of the bear, clan of the bat, clan of the wolf. In Return of the Bruce Wayne. Return to Bruce Wayne number 1. Yeah. So there's a lot of that ties into metal. Yep.
Yeah, I think this is shaping up to be quite a good little story there.
Yeah, I'm enjoying it.
I still need to read like 6 things to understand why is Darkseid a baby, blah 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 blah.
Yeah.
But
and like Scott
better.
Snyder keeps like writing more chapters of it too. Like Batman Lost is a special that's coming out next month. That is supposed to be integral to understanding metal. I believe it's like him lost in the dark multiverse.
Yeah, I've been getting the main metal ones, and then anything that starts with Batman :
Okay,
I haven't been getting any of the other.
So there's one more book that they just announced in the I think it's for January or February solicitations, whichever the most recent one was called, but it's called Dark Knight's Metal: The Wild Hunt, and it's a one-off special that's all about the Dark Knights, like the Batman Who Laughs, and like Wonder Woman, Aquaman, Green Lantern, all those guys. Right. So it's
the Drowned,
the
Murder Machine.
And I don't know if it's like after the series is over, but it seems like it's pretty integral to understanding like the ramifications of metal. It also explains what happened to the Metal Men and why we haven't seen any of the Metal Men so far. And it's also got like this really weird team that's exploring the dark multiverse. And off the top of my head, I'm not sure if I remember, but I think it's Cyborg, Raven, like Dr. Fate, and like Plastic Man or something, like a really weird group of
Plastic
people.
Man is just for some reason like super important to this, and he's just like an egg in a room right now.
Yeah,
just a big
he'll hatch.
Stretchy egg.
Oh, he's gonna hatch.
He'll hatch. I was a vase the whole time.
That's awesome though. Well, that's all I got to say about Metal.
Yeah, I was just going to briefly talk about the Harley Quinn and Batman spin-off comic tie-in that's been coming out. It's a prequel to the Batman and Harley Quinn movie, and it's been having some troubles lately. I don't really know what's going on with it, like, or why things are happening, but like they had the first issue come out, and it was an issue like that. I don't want to say too bad things about it, but the art was kind of like rushed looking, not like bad, but it was like as if maybe they gave him like one day to draw like all 12, 15 pages or whatever it is. And so it was kind of perplexing, like, oh, why did they do that? They just didn't put very much money into this or something. And the next issue came out, same thing. And the third issue came out, and it was Luciano Vecchio, I don't know if I'm going to pronounce that right, doing the art instead. And it was like just this crisp, clean, amazing looking, like, oh, so refreshing. And then issue 4, it went back. And then we've been waiting on this final issue to come out for like a week or more because they've been just delaying it for unknown reasons. So there's all just this weird, like, what is happening with this comic and why? Like, what's going on behind the scenes? I don't know.
It definitely seems like it was rushed too early. Like maybe it was something that Ty Templeton was just like, hey, like, this is the perfect opportunity to get the band back together and do a little tie-in thing. But I don't know.
Yeah, and they're supposed to be doing a sequel comic too. And that's been a weird thing because the first issue that's gonna come out now at the same day as the final prequel one because it's been delayed so much. And then, but they already released half or most of the sequel comic in the form of a book, like a hardcover book that came with the Best Buy only
speculation, right? We're not 100% sure.
I think
what that is.
Yeah, I think the cover of the first sequel comic is the same as the cover of that book. So it's likely that that's what that is. If not, then it's just extra more material that for some reason exists, and only was released with one Best Buy thing.
Yeah.
But well, it's a weird thing going on, and I'm looking forward to having it all readable so that I can just know like whether it's worth it or whatever in the end, because it's cool to we've been obviously speculating about when the movie's set, when Batman and Harley Quinn is set, and it seems to, like, I don't want to spoil anything for our video that we'll make about this, but it seems to have a pretty, like, locked in, okay, this is where it has to be. But then the prequel and sequel comics are just kind of all over the place of where it might be. It might be right before the movie, or it might be several years before the movie. Like, why is this happening the way it's happening? So I just want it to be done so I can know and have it be over with.
Yeah, that's fair. Yeah, it's giving you a lot of anxiety.
Yeah, I wonder.
We'll find out soon.
I wonder if the movie just did bad enough to where that's why it's being postponed the way it is and rushed the way it is. It's like not enough people watched the movie, but they already had this going or something. So then they're like, "Oh God, just get it over with. Just make it happen. I don't care." I don't know. It's just interesting to see this being part of the kind of that DCAU resurgence kind of stuff happening. They're just putting out another DCAU comic and another DCAU kind of like Batman, Ninja Turtles adventures and stuff like that, and it seems to be doing well, but they can't really make up their mind on why or like how much more they should do, and I don't know.
Well, I'm glad they did it at all. It's always really cool seeing more DCAU related stuff,
Yeah. So let's wrap this up. I wanted to talk about if you want to contact the show or you have any subjects you want us to talk about, you can email us at info@watchtowerdatabase.com, or you can find us on social media at DCAU Watchtower. We got not really a question, but it's something I wanted to briefly talk about. We had a comment on the last podcast. Michael Brent says, I wish Bruce Timm and Steven Spielberg did a Freakazoid DCAU movie. Since they both created him, why not? Harley Quinn is so popular now. So imagine how popular Freakazoid would be if Warner Brothers and DCAU, I think he means, made a movie deal. I don't know if Freakazoid is as like memorable as any of that other stuff, but it's definitely like I recently watched it for the first time like a few months ago, because it was it's made by Bruce Timm and Paul Dini and those guys, so that I wanted to know. Yeah, I just wanted to see it in general because I like those guys, and it's something. It has a lot of good good era of SpongeBob level jokes to it, which I enjoyed. Like they're a little more like sophisticated comedy than even the counterparts of Freakazoid, like Pinky and the Brain and Animaniacs and that stuff. Not that those are terrible or anything, but they're more kid friendly, I guess. But yeah, I mean, I guess I'd like to see a Freakazoid thing, maybe. But I don't know if anyone would get it or remember what that is.
Well, back in the day, Freakazoid made so many topical jokes, so I'm sure like when you rewatched it, like probably a few of them whenever
it's a lot of Bill and Hillary Clinton jokes. It's a lot of reference. I'm sure there was
which would have been
OJ
topical last year
or something. Yeah, yeah, that's true. So, yeah, if they brought him back, he would have to just be making like political
Trump jokes is low hanging fruit.
It is, but it would happen probably.
Yeah. Or like, I mean, you can make like Marvel Studios jokes, like the superhero as a genre is in its
a
like,
different
height
world
right now.
Yeah.
So yeah, it'd be fun to see it. I think an animated movie could do really well. Maybe something that was like direct to Cartoon Network. I don't know. They used to do that all the time. Like something, it wouldn't have to be huge budget, but
it'd be kind of fun to have him come in and he starts making 90s references like that, and then you realize that like he's stuck in 1996 or whatever the show is made, and then that's the plot of the movie is he's like realizing that everything around him, no one is getting all his references anymore and stuff.
If Warner Brothers Animation is listening right now, that's a pitch right there.
Yeah, I like it. I mean, I came up with it. Yeah, I expect to see some residuals from that if it gets picked up. But knowing our brilliant minds, they've already thought of that, and they're gonna do it.
It's already in development. Yeah.
Yeah.
Coming out next year. You heard it here first.
See a trailer for it tomorrow.
Yeah.
With the same like voiceover guy. Freakazoid is stuck in 1996. I just said that.
Yeah. We're all stuck in 1996.
Really, if you think about it, yeah.
Yeah.
All right.
Good year.
I hope you enjoyed that. We're getting better at this over time, I think. If you like I said, if you have requests for future episode topics, we got a few from our man Trey on Patreon. He's our top supporter at this moment, and he's doing good stuff. He's got a lot of suggestions for legacies and for episode topics and things that we're taking into consideration. So if you have your own requests for future episode topics, I mentioned the email already. Just rewind like a couple minutes. I'm not going to say it again. What do you want from me? And then the show, we got every other Monday for this thing that you're listening to right now. Hopefully you're still listening. DCAU Watchtower on social media. I already said that. What else?
Facebook, Instagram, Twitter.
Yeah.
That's where we're at. Yeah.
Technically, we're on Tumblr too, Legacies, but we never post anything, so don't even do it. It doesn't matter. Who's on Tumblr? Bunch of 13-year-olds. Nothing wrong with 13-year-olds. I'm sorry if you're listening.
Or Tumblr. Tumblr if you're using Tumblr. Or if you're tumbling.
Yeah.
Keep tumbling on.
If you tumble all over the place. Oh boy.
We should just tumble on out of here.
Yeah, let's leave now. Okay. Thank you for listening.
All right. Bye.
See you next time. Bye.